Good morning. We have a number of bills and subcommittee reports to cover today, so we will start with the sign-up sheet. But before we do, I just want to make an announcement about two bills. Senate Bill 616 will pass by for the day, and Senate Bill 464 will pass by for the day. Okay, as I indicated when I first started, we're going to go by the sign-up sheet, and it appears that Senator Carol Foy has been signed up on the first one on the list. Is she here?
Does she have a bill?
Carol Foy?
She's not on our agenda.
Okay, she's here on this list.
So hold on.
Senator Head? He is here.
We have Senate Bill 135.
Senate Bill 135. Go ahead, Senator Head.
And the substitute that you should have that was reported from previous committee, this just changes the definition of the sites for grants from the Virginia Economic Development Authority, or Economic Development Partnership Authority, to be able to drop down to 50 acres if it meets certain criteria. We did this already in a couple of regions, and this just adds to not just the regions 1 and 2, but also adds if it's located into a locality with where topographic or environmental factors constrain the availability of viable sites for economic development, and that's as one of the criteria that's added to that. Helps areas like in my entire district where we have a lot of mountains and not a lot of flat land, and we don't have a lot of 100-acre sites, but 50-acre sites are a little bit more available. It doesn't mean that they get guaranteed to be there. It just adds that as something that can be considered for the grants. And so.
Any member of the committee? Questions? Then I'd entertain a motion. It's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported.
Madam Chair.
Senator McPike.
I just had one quick question as to, I know there are other budget, at least one other budget amendments added that interplay with this, and I don't know if staff had a comment at all on how these are the same or complement or otherwise.
Yes, we've discussed that. Staff will respond.
Madam Chair, Senator McPike, we believe that there was funding in the introduced budget. There was previous funding. So from a funding perspective, it would just mean from the funds that would be appropriated from the program. However, I do believe you're correct that language would need to be adjusted if you pass the bills in the budget to align with that.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a motion? Madam Clerk would like to call the roll. All in favor, yea. Nay, same right.
Ayes 13, no 0.
Ayes 13, no 0. The bill will be reported. Thank you, Senator Head.
And then the other one we're going to take care of it there. Very good. Thank you.
Could I ask the members of the committee, if you'd like to speak, please put yourself in queue, because I may not look down the podium to see you, but I will be able to see what's in front of me on the. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Okay, now we will call our attention to Senate Bill 392. Senator Pekarsky.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Members of the committee. So Bill SB 392, currently the majority of emergency departments in the Commonwealth employ an ED physician in their emergency departments, but Virginia's current code is outdated and allows a physician to be on call instead of on the premises in these emergency departments. So this is a very simple bill to update the code to reflect current standards and practices, as well as, of course, match our citizens' expectations and needs for quality health care. So I hope you will support this bill. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, but I think it's pretty straightforward.
Thank you, Senator. Members of the committee, questions? Senator Favola?
I have a motion when you're ready.
Okay, you're the only one in queue, so I'm thinking there will be no other questions. So
I move to report the bill.
it has been moved and properly second that the bill be reported. Clerk, would you please open the roll?
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. Congratulations, Senator Prakash.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members.
You're very welcome. Now we'll turn our attention to Senate Bill 663, Senator Hackworth. I'm sorry I didn't see you behind the podium.
Well, that is a first.
I
Yeah.
should have known that was going to create some stir up here. Senator Hackworth, please.
I carry a lot of weight in this Senate, Madam Chair.
Please give Senator Hackworth your attention.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Senate Bill 663 is dealing with the veterinarian satellite offices, and the current DA regulations are based on a fixed location, but the practice model that we have now shifted to a range of practices, including farm calls where vets operate out of trucks. And this satellite registration will allow veterinarians to receive drug stocks at home-based address and attach their daily drug logs to their vehicle. And this is particularly helpful for rural vets who may have to drive long distance between their brick and mortar offices and their clients on farms. I don't think there is a fiscal impact, maybe just minimal, that they said they could take care of in-house. And any questions, I do have Susan here if you have any questions concerning this.
Senator Hackworth, your explanation is sufficient, so I will turn to the committee for any questions. It has been moved and properly second that the bill be reported. Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill will be reported. Senator Hackworth.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
You're very welcome. Okay, Senator Sturtevant. Did I see you? Oh, yeah, there you are.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Senate Bill
members.
103.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Senate Bill 103. It is a bill that was requested by the Virginia Bar Association tax section. And what it does, Madam Chair, members of the committee, is it treats intra-company transfers of motor vehicles the same, whether it's an LLC or a partnership or corporation, without having to pay the motor vehicle sales tax on transactions that are not truly sales, but are instead just these intra-company transfers. We already allow these tax-free transfers, as I said, when it's an LLC to a partnership, but current law does not allow these transactions between one LLC to another, and that's what this bill seeks to do, is to just level the playing field and between those types of companies. And that is the bill, Madam Chair. And the real-world example of where this might take place is if you have a parent LLC transferring a fleet of vehicles to a subsidiary LLC, we would treat that the same as if it were a partnership transferring to an LLC.
Thank you, Senator Sturtevant. We can entertain public comment on this bill, so would there be anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of the bill?
Anyone online wishing to speak in favor of the bill, would you please raise your hand now?
I'm sorry.
Oh, he's just
They just called for online.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Eric Link from the Virginia Bar Association. We appreciate Senator Sertiv carrying the bill, and we endorse it.
Would there be others in the audience who would like to speak in favor of the bill? Those who would speak in opposition to the bill, please come forward. Do you have someone online?
No, Madam Chair, we do not.
I'm sorry, we have members of the committee who would like to speak, and I have Senator Serval in queue.
David, Madam Chair, I have a quick question. So, Senator, I get why they need this, and that makes sense to me. But my only concern is the potential this creates for fraud. So, how does the DMV verify that somebody owns a majority interest in both companies? Do they ask the person to certify, or will they ask the person to certify on the form that it's exempt under this statute? And is there a penalty associated with that, so that if somebody lies, will they be held accountable for it? Because I could see, somebody just selling it and checking the box and thinking they get away with not paying a lot of sales taxes.
Madam Chair, Senator Serval, I'm not familiar with how DMV verifies that now, even for LLCs and partnerships engaging in the same transaction. We'd be happy to get you that information.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Senator Serval?
Yeah, I'd like to know that. I've seen plenty of tax fraud having practiced law for 27 years, and people check boxes, and there needs to be consequences to it. I just want to make sure that it's going to be verified properly, or there's going to be some consequence for lying about it. We can probably figure that out in the next 2 days.
Serval, does that complete your question? Questions from anyone else on the committee? There's a motion to report the bill. All in favor of that motion, please vote yea. Those opposed, nay.
Ayes 8, no 7.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ayes 8, no 7. The bill will be reported.
Madam Chair.
Senator Serval.
Sorry, having voted on the prevailing side by which we just moved to report that bill, I move that we reconsider the vote.
There's a motion on the floor. Senator Serval, will you repeat your motion?
Reconsider the vote we just took.
There's a motion on the floor to reconsideration of vote by which we passed Senate Bill 103.
Just give me a second.
All in favor of that motion, please designate it yes or no.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reconsidered.
Madam Chair, can we take that bill by temporarily?
Okay, without objection, the bill will go by temporarily. Senator Salim? Thank you. Senator Salim?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm trying to figure out SB 306, but oh, there we go. So SB 306 is essentially an invasive plant species bill where this requires the retail sale of any invasive plants species for outdoor use on a list established by the Department of Conservation and Recreation. And at the end of it, we came to a conclusion that retailers would need to put up a sign outside of the store that says invasive plants are sold here. And the reason for that is that invasive vines are killing Virginia trees by the hundreds of thousands, some such as bush honeysuckles, creating habitat favorable to the spread of Lyme disease. Virginia vineyards are threatened by the spotted invasive plants hosted by invasive trees of heaven. Cattle farms are threatened by invasive fountain grass that ruins pastures. And the other thing is, when you go to a store, when a consumer goes to a store, they assume that plants that they purchase in those places are already safe until they plant it and realize these are invasive. SB 306 would require retailers who sell these invasive plants to inform consumer what they're buying And if they fail to do that, there is a penalty. So I ask that the committee vote to pass this bill.
Thank you for that explanation, Senator Salim. Turn to the committee. Are there any questions of the patron?
Madam Chairman,
Senator McDougal?
having grown up in this industry, is there a list of what plants are determined invasive that you would want signs for? One question, and then the second question is, what about wholesale establishments that also sell retail? Are those included in the list of, I think they said 2,600? I didn't know you had to have a license to be a wholesaler, but.
Senator Salim?
Madam Chair, so the Department of Conservation and Recreation would determine, they create a list of invasive plants that would be given out. And of course, when it comes to, this is intended just for retailers.
Madam Chairman, my question is, what about a wholesale establishment that also sells retail?
Senator Salim?
Madam Chair, this only specifically applies to retailers. So if a specific manufacturing or a company that sells to retailers, they would not be impacted by that. This is directly where the consumers are going and and purchasing those plants.
Madam Chairman,
Senator McDougal?
maybe I'm not asking my question very well. Most wholesalers allow people to purchase retail at their establishment. A lot of them don't set it up as a retail facility, but they do come and buy plants there. Are they also going to have to go through the same process, number one? And number two, I'm not aware of what license that they have, or is this going to require them all to get a license now? Madam Chairman, there might be a friend.
Let us turn to staff. I think Kendra can answer that question.
Yes, Senator Lucas, Senator McDougal, all the nursery selling establishments are subject to inspection by the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services already. That would be both at the wholesale and the resale level and the retail level.
Madam Chairman,
Senator McDougal?
do they have to have a license today?
Senator McDougal, yes, sir, they do.
For both wholesale and retail?
Yes, sir, for nursery. They're all subject to nursery inspection, and it has to do with interstate shipment and movement of plant disease, because that can be a concern for agricultural.
Senator McDougal? In queue, Senator Favola?
Question for the patron. As I understand your bill, the $500 penalty, it shall not exceed $500 for any person who would sell this invasive plant. But the fine could be on an employee of the nursery and not on the organization, not on the establishment. That's my question. Because the way it's worded, it says no person shall sell or offer. And I'm thinking of the employee working in a nursery or garden shop that may not have the list available or mistakenly sell something, and it would be the employee who's actually penalized and not the retail, not the owner of the retail operation. I'd like some clarification on that.
Senator Salim?
Madam Chair, it was intended to say no retail or a nursery, but if I recommended a friendly amendment to change that to no retail or establishment, I would accept that.
Madam Chair, I offer that amendment.
Senator Favola?
I offer that amendment.
Second. There's been a motion on the floor to offer an amendment. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Noes have the same right. Senator Salim?
Thank you, and I do have somebody who wanted to speak on this bill, if you would allow them.
This is not one for public comment.
No,
Your
understood.
next one is, but not this one.
Understood, thank you. So I asked the committee to accept that, that friendly amendment and move this forward.
It has been accepted.
Thank you, Madam.
Now the committee can. Senator Hashmi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify with the patron, this bill is simply addressing a consumer's right to know, is it not, about the plant that they are purchasing, that the retail institution would not be required to remove the plant, but it identifies the plant as a invasive species, so it's a consumer right to know protection, basically. Is that correct?
Madam Chair and Senator Hashmi,
Senator Salim?
that is correct. It is the consumer's right to know. Whether they purchase it or not, that's a different story.
I understand. Further questions of the patron? Senator Reeves?
Madam Chair, we changed that line to say no retail establishments shall offer for sale outdoor, and then on line 20 it continues and it says subsection A, unless such person. I think that such person needs to be changed. Such retail establishment post in a conspicuous manner. I think you need to take the person out and add retail establishment.
I would accept that, Madam Chair. I would accept that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, I need a second to that amendment. Okay, it's a second from Senator Boysko. Okay, Senator Boysko seconds. All in favor of the motion to accept that amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Noes have the same right. Senator Salim?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask that the committee move this forward.
A motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move that we report the bill as amended.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported as amended. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically. Noes have the same right.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 13, no 0. The bill will be reported with the amendment. Senator Salim, you have a second bill, Senate Bill 312.
That is correct, ma'am. I do have, Madam Chair, I do have a substitute that was sent out earlier, and just want to make sure that the clerk sent it out to the members.
We'll have the attorney describe it and then pass it by for the day. Senator Salim?
Thank you, madam.
Madam Chair, the substitute would authorize the state long-term care ombudsman, no longer a new ombudsman office, to investigate complaints regarding services at independent living communities, and creates a new section within that long-term care ombudsman article with provisions specific to those independent living community complaints and investigations that is almost identical to the introduced bill.
Thank you for that explanation. We're going to pass this bill by so that we can assess the substitute. Yeah, the fiscal impact of the substitute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the
Thank you. Do I need a motion for the? No, the bill is just going to carry over. Okay, let me see who next.
She's in a subcommittee.
She's in it, right. My next in this group will be Senator Stanley. Senator Stanley present?
We can move to committee members.
Okay, we'll move to committee members until, I'm sorry, we'll have to come back to this block. Move to committee members. The first one be Senate Bill 372, and that's Senator Eben.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 372 is a delay by 1 year for Alexandria to meet its requirement to have its combined sewer overflow project fully in place and remediated. The extension takes into account delays that are a result of the pandemic and the war in the Ukraine. This was recommended by the Water Commission, and I'm co-sponsored by the senators who originally proposed the mandate for Alexandria to meet it by 2025. It gives an extra year. We don't think we'll have to take the full year, but if we don't, there's financial penalties for Alexandria, so we wanted to give them a little bit of breathing room in case there's another supply chain delay.
Thank you, Senator Eben. Any questions by any member of the committee? I'd like to entertain. It has been moved and probably second that the bill be reported. All in favor, please designate electronically, yea or nay.
Ayes 14, no 0, 1 abstention.
Ayes 14, noes 0, 1 abstention. The bill will be reported. Thank you.
Thank you.
In this same block, the next bill would be Senate Bill 455, And that's Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 455. This bill has been before us before. It did not survive the conference process last year, I believe, is what happened to it. But we established a statewide plan that VDOT and Department of Wildlife Resources put together, and we have yet to establish the fund to institute that plan. And getting this fund started would enable us to take private donations and grants to be able to match federal funds. And we did receive this year, Madam Chair, a federal grant, and one of these wildlife corridor projects has been authorized here in Virginia with federal money. At some point in time, we'd like to do that with state and private and grant money, and just want the fund established to go along with the plan that we put in place through a lot of work by Wildlife Resources and by VDOT, and that's the bill.
Thank you, Senator Marsden. Question by any member of the committee? I'd like to entertain a motion.
I would move to report.
Second.
Excuse me. It has been moved and properly second that Senate Bill 455 be reported. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Excuse me. Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported. Thank you. Next in this block, Senator McPike, you have Senate Bill 245.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, Senate Bill 245, we do have an amendment which would clarify and remove any fiscal impact or potential future impact, Madam Chair, by on line 86 after budgetary resources, striking the remainder of line 86 through 88, which that language before being stricken would have required the Department of Energy to conduct an annual survey and provide other information. By striking that, it removes the fiscal impact, Madam Chair. And so move.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that the bill, Senate Bill 245, be reported. All in favor?
Amended.
As amended. Adopt the amendment. All in favor of adopting the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those have the same right. Thank you. I'm trying to get over the tickle in my...
Madam Chair, I'm not going to slow down that train either. So the rest of its technical amendments that help to clarify an existing code structure and provides better guidance to localities, Madam Chair, and move to report as amended.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that the bill be reported with amendment. All in favor or not, please designate electronically.
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. The bill will be reported with amendment. Okay, Senator Reeves, you're up next with Senate Bill 349.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This bill looks a lot different from when I originally planned it, but in cooperation with a bunch of entities, the Virginia State Police, Automobile Dealers Association, Enterprise, and some of the big car rental companies. But I have an amendment nature of substitute that need to be put before the committee.
Moved and seconded to adopt the amendment.
Okay, it has been moved and probably second that we adopt the amendment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. So thank you, Madam Chair. As everyone is aware, you have to get a state inspection every year on your car. What 349 established to do is a new 2-year state inspection program for new cars only. After the initial 2 years, cars must be inspected every year going forward. It only applies to new cars, not used cars. The new cars will receive an inspection at the point of sale. The car dealer will pay for the 2-year inspection up front, which will be double the cost of the annual inspection. So it's revenue neutral at that point. The owner of the vehicle will receive a 2-year inspection sticker. It doesn't touch emissions inspections. That's a separate process from the annual state inspection. Like I said, it was a negotiation between the Virginia State Police, the Automobile Dealers Association, Enterprise, and some of the other car rental companies. I asked to be referred to Finance to make sure there wasn't going to be an impact, and I believe it's revenue neutral at this point. So I asked the committee to look favorable upon it.
Question by staff. Kendra, what is a revenue neutral? I'm sorry, Katie.
Madam Chair, while it is revenue neutral, there are expenses for the state police to do a systems change and to implement the new sticker. State police estimates those at about $433,000 to implement the provisions of the bill.
Thank you. Questions by any member of the committee?
That's what it says. Doubling the cost. No, we took it out. Well, you're doubling.
Senator Deeds?
2 years in a row.
Madam Chair, this constitutes a pretty big change to the way we do business around here. And I would move that we carry the bill over for the year and think about it in the meantime.
I'd second that motion.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be continued. I think that's going to require electronic vote. Clerk, could you please open the roll?
Ayes 9, noes 6.
Ayes 9, noes 6. The bill will be carried over.
Stanley's here.
Senator Stanley, you walked in just in time. Could you please approach the mic?
Oh, no.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Senator Stanley. You want to start with Senate Bill 27?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Senate Bill 27 is, of course, an attempt to create a trades incentive program fund. There is not an actual monetary amount other than to manage, I guess, the creation of the fund. But this is trying to give opportunities to especially the areas that need them in rural areas and inner cities that have the school systems have moved away from the trades to try to give them an incentive program to recreate the trades program inside the public school system. What this does is it will it has the purpose of providing grants on a competitive.
Senator Stanley, I hate to interrupt you, but don't you have a committee substitute?
We have a committee substitute.
Yes, we have a committee substitute.
I guess
so I'd like to ask the attorney to share with us the committee substitute.
Madam Chair, the committee substitute provides that program funds may only be used for equipment. As introduced, they could be used for curriculum development and instructor training, and it also removes subsection E, which involved the tracking of students completing the program.
Senator Stanley was listening to you attentively, so all in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Aye. No, same right. Continue, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. What we're trying to do is restore high school programs that teach students skilled trades that lead to earning industry-recognized certifications and credentials, and restore, even in the middle schools, programs that encourage and recruit students to participate in high school programs that would teach these skilled trades that will lead to high-earning, high-paying, industry-recognized jobs. We have a brain drain when it comes to the trades. We have a 21% deficit in our area right now. We have higher unemployment in Southside than we do in Northern Virginia, but we have available jobs right now that if those persons, men and women, would have been certified as pipe fitters, HVAC, industrial trades, that they would have a job immediately. And those jobs right now are paying somewhere in the neighborhood of $75,000. And you're talking about, for me, especially if you look at how I wrote this, it's trying to establish these first in areas of socioeconomic status where the students may be living at or below the poverty level to try to break that cycle of poverty. They may not be college ready or have the finances to go to college, but now we can give them a skill that by the time they get out of high school, they're ready to break that cycle of poverty, ready to make a difference in their community, and actually fill a job that is waiting for them that day. And that's the bill, Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Stanley. Senator McDougall.
Senator Stanley is very loquacious, but I would like to move to report.
Well, and Senator Stanley knows that I like to hear about the trades, and so I would listen all day. But there is a motion on the floor. And a second? And there's a second. So all in favor of the report with the substitute, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported with the substitute. Senator Stanley, you have a second bill. I hope you have a lot of luck with that one, too.
I do, Madam Chair, members of the session, members of the committee, I'm sorry. Senate Bill number 31 is actually trying to address a critical problem that we have in the Commonwealth of Virginia today. Right now, we are seeing our releasing agencies, our pounds, our humane societies overflowing with dogs. And they're overflowing with dogs and cats. And quite frankly, the unfortunate result is that these beautiful animals are euthanized unnecessarily because we don't have the space to keep them. What the root of the problem is, all of those releasing agencies, humane societies, SPCAs will tell you, is that there's being an overbreeding of dogs. And a lot of it is due to the fact that there are people in socioeconomic standings that cannot afford to pay for the spay or neuter. And so what this tries to do is establish basically a fund which will finance the spay and neuter for those people that otherwise couldn't afford it, and especially in targeted areas where we have an overpopulation of dogs and cats that's resulting in these needless euthanasias. The payment structure is actually, without putting it on the government itself, is that we sell many hundreds of tons, thousands of tons of food, dog food, cat food. And so what we try to do is put a $50 fee at the rack. When we were doing actually the gas tax, when we made the gas tax at the rack, this is at the rack, which is $50 per ton. So when you break that down per pound of food, it's pennies. And so what we try to do, and I've heard no opposition from any of the manufacturers themselves of these food products, but what this tries to do is pay for it in a way that will help our communities not have large masses of community cats, not have large euthanasia rates in our releasing agencies and humane societies. So we're trying to address the issue in a way that without taxing the state with public funds necessarily, we have the corporations that depend on cats and dogs actually stepping up. And the people like me, Madam Chair, I have 5 dogs, and so I would be paying this tax a lot, this fee a lot. And willingly, and most dog and cat owners would willingly pay pennies to make sure that we're solving this problem. And that's the bill, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that very passionate presentation, Senator Stanley.
Thank you,
now
Madam
we'll
Chair.
turn to members of the committee for questions, comments, or motion.
Madam Chair, I move to report the bill. I move to report the bill.
Would we like to talk about the fiscal impact? I think Senator McDougall.
So if I understand the bill, it does 2 things. It imposes, Madam Chairman, if I understand the bill, it does 2 things. It imposes a $50 fee on each ton of food sold in Virginia, and the department thinks that's going to cost over $1 million to start the program and about $700,000 a year to implement the program, just in staffing. Is that right?
Senator Stanley.
Madam Chair, I can't quibble because I guess that's what Senate Finance has determined, and that's unfortunate. I wish Senator McDougall would adopt more dogs and cats, and maybe we wouldn't have to have this fund. But I understand, what I was trying to do is make sure that it wasn't cost prohibitive for the state, but rather that what it is saving ultimately lives and money, because these are running some of our SPCAs and humane societies to the brink of bankruptcy, and then they can't service that region or industry. And what we're seeing a lot of public
Why don't we turn to
controlled
staff
pounds
to
are
see if
horrible.
we can get the fiscal impact?
Senator Lucas, the bill does have a fiscal impact. The provisions of the bill do not allow for the fee revenue that to be used for administration of the program, and so it has a general fund impact for the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, both to administer the program. When it comes, the bill allows for free and reduced cost sterilization for people who are low-income Virginia citizens, and so there'd have to be some verification of income to make sure that the appropriate people are being provided that benefit, and then it also would involve reimbursing veterinarians for providing the care. So the department would have to administer that, keep a record of who was due what and what was being paid to them out of the fund.
Thank you for enlightening us with that. And I do have someone in queue. Senator Boysko?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would the patron consider it a friendly amendment if we incorporated the administrative fees into the receipts that we would get from?
Madam Chair, I'd answer my friend Senator Boysko by saying absolutely. It might have been my oversight overlooking that, or my belief that it wasn't going to take $1 million of government bureaucracy to administer the fund. So I would think that a very friendly amendment.
Madam Chair, might I offer?
Senator Boysko?
Might I offer that as a friendly amendment, that we would incorporate the fees into the fund's receipts so that there would be no fiscal impact to the Commonwealth?
You've heard the friendly amendment. Could hold a suspend for a second.
Can I mention there's also an impact to tax line before we adopt it?
We need to hear from Senate Finance staff about the impact.
Madam Chair, I also believe there's an impact to tax for the administration of the surcharge. Is tax here?
Madam Chair, the surcharge cost to tax is about $277,000. And taxes in the audience if you have questions.
Boy, I'm just spending money like it's Christmas out here. Just trying to save some dogs and cats. Put that in there too, Madam Chair, if there was a friendly amendment to take this out.
I think there is a friendly amendment on the floor, and I think it has already received a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. No, same right. There a motion on the floor? Senator Hodgman is in queue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My apologies to the patron if I missed this earlier in your presentation. I see the letters that were distributed, and the feedback that my office had received is that we do have some opposition to the bill. Did you say that there was agreement at this point?
Madam Chair, I'd answer my friend the senator by saying I was not aware of any opposition, nor was I in receipt of any letters of anyone who would be in opposition of finding the ability to sterilize cats and dogs that live in low-income families. And if they do so, to coin a phrase from a friend of mine, Senator Stewart, shame on them.
Madam Chair.
That was a joke, by the way.
Senator Hodgman is not. Senator Hodgman, continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just as a follow-up, then, the letters that were passed out as we started to discuss the bill is one from the Pet Food Institute and then from Pet Advocacy Network. I think my office also had some outreach from the two organizations saying that this is an unfair burden on one industry in order to address the critical need, which I agree with the patron to address this issue. But I was just curious if the patron had resolved any of these concerns.
Madam Chair, I'd answer the senator by saying...
Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd answer the senator by saying I was not aware. They never came to me, and certainly I would have sat down with them had they done this. This may be one of those 11th hour letters. I don't know when they came. But I have a full file here. I have nothing with anything like that. But what I do have is, stats that show with over 2,000 dogs pouring into our shelters every year based on overpopulation and the lack of spay-neuter. We've got to do something about this. It's becoming critical mass.
I know there's a motion on the floor, but I think we need some clarification on the amendment.
Madam Chair, I believe we as staff just wanted clarification if the amendment covered the administrative costs for both VDAX and tax. Senator.
Madam Chair.
Senator Favola.
I know there's an amendment on the floor, but given the comments we have received, I would be inclined to ask the patron if he could take it by for the day and see if you could address some of these comments. We do have
With friends like that.
Yeah. This is one of those lopsided committees I'm really happy to be in front of, actually, right now.
But you do have a motion on the floor, so.
Okay. Could you please repeat?
Madam Chairman.
Could you please repeat the motion? Does anybody remember what the motion is?
I can make a new one just to make sure. So I'm going to have.
Senator McDougal, just as you were about to make that motion, there's still now 2 people in queue, or I think it's only Senator Favola in queue.
Oh, my apologies.
Madam Chair,
Senator Boysko.
I made the original motion. If you would like me to withdraw it, I'm willing to do that for the moment.
Original motion has been withdrawn. Is there a new motion on the floor?
Madam Chairman, I'm going to make a kinder and gentler motion than the senator from Lancaster or the King George would, and that is to carry this over for the year. If Senator Stanley comes back with some new information where it could be fixed that between now and then we could reconsider it at our next meeting. That was not intentional. Not an intentional pun.
I hear a second to that motion.
Madam Chair, I understand the motion, and I expect we'll be voting on it, but perhaps Senator McDougal is correct, and you can't correct this in a week, but my motion was to carry it by for the week to see if we could get closer. But I guess we're going to vote on Senator McDougal's motion.
Unless there's a substitute motion. So, Senator McDougal, your motion is to carry over for the year? Yes. It appears that we're going to be voting on that motion since I did hear a second from my right side. All in favor of carrying the bill over, please designate electronically, yea or nay.
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. The bill will be continued.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Carried over. The bill will be carried over, not continued, but carried over for the year.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Thank you for consideration.
Friends over on this.
And I was going to say, don't pay too much attention
Well,
to
Senator
those on
Dees
your
was
right.
showing me his beagle the whole time you were talking. A picture of his beagle.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, can we take 5, 1, and 3 for the day versus temporarily? We're going to take it 5 for the day.
Okay, so on Senate Bill 103, is Senator Sturtevant still here?
Senator Servo's going to.
Madam
Senator
Chairman,
Servo?
I told him he could leave, and I'd make a motion to take that by for the day.
Okay, there's a motion that Senate Bill 103 go by for the day. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And now we are moving to another block, and I'd like staff, Mike, will you provide the HHR subcommittee report? And I'd ask committee to look at the yellow sheets, and then Tyler will provide the resources report. And that's going to be on the green sheet. Okay, and so, Mr. Tweedy, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for the Health and Human Resources Subcommittee report, there are 4 bills. The first one is Senate Bill 43 by Senator Favola. It basically creates an ombudsman program with the Disability Law Center of Virginia. There is a substitute to reflect better of what the program would do. That would actually, instead of calling it an ombudsman, call it a helpline. And the subcommittee recommended adopting that substitute and reporting the bill 5 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention.
That we adopt the substitute.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the substitute be adopted. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye. Then I move we report the bill.
There's a motion to report and a second to report Senate Bill 43. All in favor, please designate electronically. Noes have the same right. Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, noes 0. The bill will be reported with a substitute. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 155 by Senator Head. It deals with the Virginia Healthcare Workforce Development Authority. It makes a variety of changes. However, there is a technical issue that was recently discovered. So in order to kind of consider that and develop a substitute or appropriate amendments, the recommendation would be to pass this by for the day.
Motion? And it's second that the bill pass by for the day, and that is Senate Bill 155. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 320 by Senator Rome. It deals with the Department of Health providing information to food banks regarding the Women, Infants, and Children program. The patron actually has some amendments to basically mitigate some of the fiscal impact. So in order for the committee to take time to consider those amendments, it probably should be passed by for the day.
Senator Rome is here, so we'd like to hear from you, Senator Rome.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, there are two enactment clauses on this. The first, it says the provisions of the enactment clause 1 shall be effective July 1st, 2025, so basically a one-year delay on it. And the second part is the Department of Health shall explore strategies to support the outreach and education efforts for food banks. This shall include Romanet 1, information about opportunities to create public-private partnerships, such as with the Federation of Virginia Food Banks. Romanet 2, information on funding from all available federal channels for services to support education and outreach on WIC. And Romanet 3, recommendations on required resources for implementation, and that the Department of Health shall report its findings and recommendations to the chairs of the Senate Committees on Finance and Appropriations and Education and Health by November 1st of this year. And so, Madam Chair, the entire point of that is to eliminate any fiscal impact to the state. This way that they're getting public-private partnerships, and that we don't have to rely on general fund dollars to do anything.
Madam Chair.
Senator.
And neither one of those amendments was considered by the subcommittee, so I'd move that we pass the bill by for the day.
There's a motion on the floor that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Noes have the same right. Thank you, Senator Rome.
And Madam Chair, the final bill on the subcommittee report is Senate Bill 325 by Senator Rome. This one deals with directing the state registrar to expedite the issuance of new birth certificates of adoptions for if either one of the adoptive parents is active duty or retired member of the military or military reserves. It has an expected minimal non-general fund fiscal impact in the Office of Vital Records. The subcommittee recommended the bill be reported 6 yeas, 0 no.
That was the motion. Senator Vola, you in queue. You have a question?
No, I have a motion.
Okay, question by any member of the committee? Senator Vola for.
I move that we report the bill.
It has been moved and probably second that the bill be reported, and that's Senate Bill 325. All in favor of that motion, please vote electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. Senate Bill 325 will be reported. Thank you, Senator Room. Now we will turn to the next block, and that will be Tyler will provide Resources Subcommittee report.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is on the green sheet for members. The first bill is Senate Bill 477, Senator Aird, related to the rate of taxation on blighted and derelict properties. The subcommittee recommends adopting a substitute. The substitute permits a rate not to exceed the general rate for 15% for blighted properties and 30% for derelict properties, and then it excludes owner-occupied homes. The subcommittee recommends adopting the substitute and reporting 3 yes, 1 no.
It has been moved and properly second that the substitute be adopted. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. No, same right. Thank you.
Move the report.
It has now been moved and second that the bill be reported, and that's with the substitute, and that's Senate Bill 477. All in favor or not, please vote electronically.
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. The bill will be reported with the substitute.
The next bill is Senate Bill 294, Senator D. Stuff, related to local taxation penalties and interest. The subcommittee recommends passing by for the day.
Senator Favola, is you in queue? No, sorry. You in queue so much I call you whether I see your name or not. There's a motion on the floor that the bill be passed by indefinitely?
No, for the day.
I'm passed by for the day, not indefinitely. I'm not trying to kill the bill prematurely, but.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Second. It's been moved and properly second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those have the same right? Thank you.
The next bill is Senate Bill 640, Senator Durant. This relates to energy storage systems tax-exempt property. The subcommittee recommends passing by indefinitely, 4 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly second that Senate Bill 640 be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically. Takes your breath away, doesn't it?
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be passed by indefinitely. Tyler?
Madam Chair, the next 3 bills of Senator McPike's all relate to the same topic, related to a constitutional amendment for a property tax exemption for certain surviving spouses. The first bill is Senate Bill 4. The subcommittee recommends reporting 4 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second that Senate Bill 4 be reported. All in favor of that motion or not, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill is reported.
The next bill, Senator McPike, is Senate Bill 240. The subcommittee recommends reporting. It's also related to the property tax exemption for surviving spouses.
It's been moved and second that the bill be reported. All in favor, please designate electronically. Those have the same right.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill is reported.
Madam Chair, the final bill, Senator McPike, SJ3, the subcommittee recommends reporting 4 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second, and Senator McPike, I know that these 3 go together, so it has been moved and properly second that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically. Those have the same right. Thank you.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported.
The next bill, Madam Chair, Senate Bill 192, Senator Subramaniam, related to the sales and use tax exemption for data centers. The subcommittee recommends continuing this bill while JLARC studies data centers in the next year. 4 yes, 0 no.
I move we carry the bill over. Second.
You've heard the motion that the bill be carried over to 2025. All in favor of that motion, please designate it yes. Noes have the same right. Thank you.
Ayes 14, noes 1.
Ayes 14, noes 1. The bill will be carried over.
The next bill, Senate Bill 110, Senator Suderline. This would exempt groceries and essential personal hygiene products from the sales tax. The subcommittee recommends passing by indefinitely. 3 yes, 1 no.
You've heard the committee report.
And Madam Chair, specifically, this is the portion of the sales tax that's still levied at the local level.
Correct.
So it requires a backfill from the general fund. So I make the motion to PBI.
Second. It's been moved and properly second that the bill be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. Senate Bill 110 will be passed by indefinitely.
The next bill, Senate Bill 517, Senator Williams-Graves. This relates to tax exemptions for Confederacy organization. The committee recommends adopting a substitute. The substitute includes additional real and personal property exemptions that exist in current statute for other Confederacy organizations. The subcommittee recommends adopting the substitute and reporting 3 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention.
So moved.
It is been.
I'll move the substitute, rather. Second.
There's a motion to move the substitute. All in favor of the substitute, please designate it. And please say aye.
Aye.
Noes have the same right. Now to the motion.
Move the report.
It has been moved and second that the bill be reported. All in favor of reporting with the substitute, please vote electronically, and noes have the same right.
Ayes 12, noes 0, 3
Ayes-
abstentions.
Ayes 12, noes 0, and 3 abstentions. The bill will be reported with a substitute.
Madam Chair, the final bill, Senate Bill 523, Senator Williams-Graves, related to sales tax revenues for entertainment arena. The subcommittee recommends passing by for the day.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically, and that's on Senate Bill 523.
It's a voice.
Aye. This is a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Noes have the same right. Thank you. That clears the rocket docket. There being no further bills in the committee shall rise.
Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.